everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for joining me today. I'm really excited to see what the runes have to say for this week ahead. Now, of course, just beforehand I was doing a little bit of a meditation and there was a lot of sound outside, lots of honking horns, lots of things like that. You know, the regular soundscape that you would have in the city. But what I found interesting about that is it brought to mind that we're going to have a very hectic week ahead. And that may be hectic in the sense of meeting people, having new experiences, but there is going to be an opportunity of rest over the weekend. But it does feel to me that that rest is nestled in a kind of very, very busy environment or very busy experience, right? So we are coming up on the 25th, I believe, the new moon in Libra. So we're going to have a greater emphasis and focus on relationships and on balancing our internal life and our exterior life, balancing our emotional relationship to ourselves and our relationship to others, especially when it comes to one-on-one partnerships. So I wouldn't be surprised if you guys will find a new refreshing experience coming up, or perhaps there's going to be this relationship focus. Whatever that relationship focus may be, maybe it's a one-on-one relationship, maybe it's a platonic relationship or a sexual relationship or a romantic relationship, whatever it may be, there is going to be an emphasis around this new moon coming up on the 25th is going to be connected to that energy. It's going to be about releasing, letting go, new beginnings to these partnerships or new paradigms or new perspectives to these connections that we have. So now let's see what the runes have to say for the week. We're also, funnily enough, well, not really funnily, I mean, it's like part of the season, but we're coming up to Mabon, which is, if I'm not mistaken, the fall equinox. So I'm really excited for that. The fall equinox is going to be a very powerful time where for the northern hemisphere, for the southern hemisphere, there will be equal amounts of light and dark. So the day will be equal to the night, which to me is a really significant time frame, spiritually speaking. We're going to be finding ourselves, again, emphasis on greater balance, emphasis on connecting to our deeper sense of intuition. It's also going to be a time of preparation because this is the tipping point. This is where now we're really about to fall towards winter. Especially for those of us in the northern hemisphere, we're going to fall into that colder time frame, this energy of staying indoors, of burning the fires at the hearth, you know, which is going to be fun. So let's see what the runes have to say. Wow. So the first thing that came to mind while I was shuffling or turning the runes, some of you, because again, this is a general reading, so take what resonates. It's not going to be for everyone. But some of you who are watching are going to be going on a very interesting journey. Whether that's a physical trip, a spiritual trip, or an emotional trip. And what I mean by that is that a journey is not always just a physical thing, right? A journey isn't always us taking literal steps towards some place. A journey can be a journey of the heart, a journey of the soul, right? We often hear, especially in the spiritual community, this concept of the dark night of the soul, right? That would be considered a soul's journey, right? Moving through the darker parts of itself in order to understand that those parts aren't as dark as they seem, right? Then there's the actual physical journey, right? Where you're going to meet a friend, or you're going to a new city, or you're traveling to towards a new experience, right? But there's an emphasis on travel in this week ahead. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of you are heading out of the city, or some of you are going someplace, or there's going to be what I'm hearing is a revolution in one's emotional state. serious shift from one perspective to another, which I find very beautiful. Because we also had Rido that fell on my lap, literally. And Rido is the rune of the chariot, right? So for those of you who do the tarot, the chariot card would be the one that's most associated with Rido. And so for those of you who are feeling the Cancerian moon that we are experiencing today, that will slowly be shifting and I believe heading into Leo, which I'm really excited about. Nice little fun, enlivening energy for us. So we have a couple of runes here, which I'm quite interested by. Starting in the center, radiating outwards. For those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. So we're starting out with Gebel. There has been an unexpected gift in your life. Whatever that gift may be, it is deeply unexpected. It feels like you may have received an email or a message, or you may have met somebody, or you may have run into a particular new opportunity that suddenly just came out the blue. So I imagine, like a boss coming up and saying, hey, look, I want you to apply for this new position. Or I could imagine a situation in which you get a message from an old friend, or you get a message from someone you weren't expecting, and they're saying like, hey, how are you? I have this idea for you. Or hey, like this thought came to mind. And so it's an unexpected gift that has happened upon us either in the beginning of this week. So I'm going to put that within this like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday vibe. And underneath it, which I find interesting, is we have Uruz, that was literally lying underneath it. And Uruz, I believe, fell in Merkstaff position. So, whatever this gift is, it caught you not only by surprise, but it put you in a space of deep vulnerability. Whatever that may be, right? Perhaps being vulnerable is not necessarily always an emotional vulnerability, right? It could be a vulnerability in the sense of, for example, in the financial side of life, or in the side of life that is more towards your career, right? Perhaps you may have experienced something that said, oh wow, like I feel like I'm being pushed towards embracing the fact that I actually can do this, or I see that there are all these opportunities that are asking more of me and I'm not sure if I could do that, right? And yet I know that I must, or I know that I can, and I have to really like push myself to believe in who I am, to believe that I can do that. That's what I mean by like there are so many ways that this vulnerability can show up, but this gift has brought this vulnerability. And then around this gift, right, I'm seeing Naufis, which is need, Isa, which is the rune of ice, and Haglas, which is the rune of the storm. So I find that really interesting because it feels like there is this, all those runes are actually mostly associated with Heimdallr's 8. Or the 8 runes that are associated with the deity Heimdall. And Heimdall is like one of the coolest. He's the one who like does the Bifrost, which is the rainbow bridge that connects the land of the gods to Earth, right? He also is the one who was deeply wise, right? He's an extremely wise deity. And a lot of his runes are associated with turning inward. So whatever this gift was, whatever this experience was, this social interaction, this equivalent exchange between yourself or someone else, or perhaps your job or whatever it may be, whatever this experience was, has brought you to a space where you really have to go in and reflect, go in and really hash out how you're feeling. Hash out the emotions that are coming through, because Haglas is the storm, right? Then we have Isa, which is about ice. It's about consolidating, finding a space of peace, freezing, kind of saying like, oh, hold on, give me a second, right? And then Naufis, which is the rune of need. So this is all about digging deeper. This week we're going to be digging deeper into our inner life to find out the things that this gift has triggered. I don't know what this is for you guys, but it sounds really interesting. Perhaps also I'm getting this message for some of you. Again, not all of you, but I'm getting this message that some of you have a gift, whatever that gift may be. Maybe you have the gift of writing, or the gift of public speaking, or the gift of digital art, or whatever the gift may be, right? You have this gift, and you have had ideas about how to implement this gift, and it feels like you've been sitting on yourself, or it feels like you're not quite sure that you can actually make this gift useful, right? But it's time to be vulnerable to that experience. It's time to say, like, no, I can. Because this gift is what you're pulling out of yourself. You're digging into the interior life of your heart, of your soul, of your mind, of this experience, of this relationship, of this partnership, of this job. You're like digging deep and pulling out the gift, right? When you pull out this gift, when you find the reason why you're in this space, the reason why you're in this connection, right? It's going to bring a lot of clarity and a lot of abundance, especially towards the weekend, where you'll find, I think the weekend we're going to have a little bit more time to ourselves. So use that time for yourself. Use that time to really connect to that inner gift, whatever that may be. Find time for your creativity, for your meditative practice. Perhaps you have a gift in terms of clairaudience. So really practice listening to the spirits or listening to those intuitive nudges that you may be receiving. Then we have here on the top these 3 runes that fell in a very interesting position. We have, I'm going to take this very non-traditionally, because we have Sowilo, which is the rune of the sun. And then we have Tirwas, which has fallen Merkstav. But from the position on my board, it literally looks like this. Tirwas pointing towards the sun. I'm going to take that as towards the beginning of next week. So feeling Sunday, Monday, Tuesday vibe. Everything is going to be pointing towards the sun. It's going to be pointing towards our happiness, our joy, our abundance. We are going to be asked to put our focus on our inner light. It also feels to me, I'm getting this message of like shooting an arrow into the sun. I don't know where that's from. I believe that's an old tale or like folk story from Native American traditions, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to take some research into it, but perhaps that may resonate for some of you. But it's this idea of taking an arrow, shooting it and pointing it towards the sun, right? Pointing it towards the sun, firing into the sun. It feels like shooting, passing away your worries, letting them go into the sun, taking a shot even though you can't see, right? I'm getting this message from Rune. I think it was from him anyway. But the journey of 1,000 steps begins with the first one, right? It begins with that first step. Then we also have Lagus that fell on its side. So again, this feeling of creative stagnation, I'm really encouraging you guys to take time to reflect, to journal, to be present with yourself, you know? Because Lagus on its side oftentimes connects to potential for anxiety, potential for creative stagnation, like I mentioned, or potential for, because the Lagus is the lake, right? So imagine a very beautiful placid lake that is absolutely gorgeous. But when you get closer to it, you can't quite tell how deep it goes, right? The only way to do that is to dive into the lake. Because the lakes are so placid, there's not oftentimes, especially if the lake is quite small, there's not often enough impetus for the water to move to create those larger waves, right? But sometimes lakes are so deep, so deep, and you would never know. So Lagus represents that depth of emotional valence, the depth of our emotional experience, and tapping more fully into that, and how that can sometimes be a potential for feeling overwhelmed, or a potential for finding creative energy through that. So a lot of what's going on this week, just to sum it up into something more succinctly, is that as we begin this new phase, so from Wednesday up until Sunday, there's going to be this time period in which we are digging deeper into our interior life to pull out the gifts that we have, and to understand that these gifts may make us feel vulnerable in ways that are challenging us to grow. And these gifts may come in the form of our own personal skills, they may come in the form of relationships, they may come in the form of new job opportunities, whatever that may be. And then towards the beginning of next week, so this is Monday into Wednesday of next week, I'm seeing this energy of pointing towards the sun, of taking this shot, of understanding the gift that you have found and realizing that the gift is meant to shine, right? It's meant to be experienced. It's meant to be felt. It's meant to be shared. And it is part of our life's mission and duty to share the gifts that we have, not only with ourselves, but with others. So I hope that resonates for you guys. Again, I see a lot of travel coming up for us this week. So some of us may be going apple picking or maybe going to fun little things, but it seems like there's a lot of travel this week and a lot of opportunities for that kind of movement in one's daily life. So I hope this resonated for you guys. I hope it connected to you. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe below. And of course, I'll see you guys next week here on the channel. Happy Mabon, just on the 21st, 22nd vibe. So that's like tomorrow into the next day. So like, I hope you guys really enjoy it. I hope you have fun. I hope you enjoy this equinox energy and tapping more fully into what that may mean for you. Again, it's about balance, understanding, and preparing for the winter for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere. So I'll see you guys next week, okay? Bye everyone.